So, welcome to the Practical Alchemy Show. I'm absolutely delighted to be speaking with Richard Walter for the next 45 minutes or so. Richard's got some beautiful recordings he's going to share with us as well. We like in these shows for it to be chat, so you get to know the person, but also you get to know their art and as well. So, Richard's very kindly recorded two pieces we'll talk about. So, welcome, Richard, to Practical Alchemy Show.
Well, thank you for having me, Tom. I'm excited to speak to you again.
Well, listen, this is all about transmutation, alchemy and transmutation, and I'd always liked. I like people's backstory, how they got to where they are. And I've only known you for 6-9 months now, a relatively short amount of time, but we've developed quite a bond, and we have a lot of fun with our interactions as well. It's not just
We have.
all spiritual woo woo. We're both Insight Timer teachers. We support a lot of people on their path to getting heard and getting listened, getting their content out. But you've really embraced this whole switching from being a meditator to being a meditation teacher. But we go right back before then. What was your career path like to take you to this point?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I thought you might ask me that, Tom, before I got on the session with you. So I started to reflect back on my career path. And it's quite interesting because I started as in my day, people left home right out of high school. So it wasn't about lingering at home. It was about you got a suitcase for your birthday and you hit it out for starting your life, right? So I ended up in the military first off, and I took my officer's training with the Canadian military, and that took me along a path of I don't like to use the term warrior because it really isn't, but it felt like a path I wanted to take because I had been an air cadet all my early youth, and I was kind of intrigued with that duty and discipline. So I've had duty and discipline early in my life, right from a young child, even with the chores and jobs that I took as a youngster. So that led me after the military into a telecom situation where I was working for a telephone company for a number of years. First, as a technical person in the field, and Tom, you'd understand tech from being in the recording and the video type of industry. I was in the network services department, which handled all the telecommunication. And if you can believe it, Tom, I don't know if you know how old I am, but when I first started, vacuum tubes were still part of the technology. We had to change out vacuum tubes in the radio
Yeah,
system.
me too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, it went and so rapidly, and it wasn't even 10 years, Tom, as you can tell you can recall it and recant, is that in 10 years we were into digital and then fiber optics and then satellites right away. So, I mean, that's a rapid change. You talk about transmutation, that's energy that's transmuting rapidly. And that was in slow change times back in the
Hmm.
80s and 90s. And now we're into the 2000s. So that career took me into a financial services world because I felt that I was being limited a little by the organization, and there's a career path of in my day, and I've written about it in my through the doldrums of midlife. Uh, Sometimes when you're in that stage of life where you're striving and you're wanting to achieve so much, you just keep pushing and pushing. And I felt like I pushed past my opportunities at that telephone company, and I wanted to challenge myself. And my father had been in the investment and insurance industry that I knew of from his early adulthood. So I thought I'd give it a try. So I joined an organization, one of Canada's largest financial planning companies, and I became a financial planner. So I was helping people achieve their dreams, so to speak, of the plans that we would put together. And that was a big part of our organization, was helping people put their plan together to achieve what they wanted in life. Not knowing that that might be something helpful for me here today, Tom, but it was something that I took took a real interest into and became very successful in it too as well. So I actually again grew throughout that organization and became a senior director in the company, and that was all exciting and fun until 9/11, and then 2001, and the world collapsed. Our world's collapsed. As you might have known, you might have had a pension plan or other investments that caused you to feel a little crushed with all that the inevitable fallout from those situations in the early 2000s. It started to cause me to reflect what I really wanted in my life. So that's 25 years ago, and I made some changes, made some moves, and I ended up find myself out here in the west coast of Canada in a beautiful province of British Columbia where I live today. And it was a transition for me because I now wanted to have what I wanted in my life. I had taken up triathlon and became an Ironman triathlete, and that takes a lot of dedication and discipline. So
Mm.
you can hear the theme of dedication and discipline, and in a lot of cases duty. In a lot of my roles, if you recall the five love languages, the five love languages talks about what is your particular love language, and I think mine is service to others. And you may have seen that, Tom, in the things that I do, and the things that we've collaborated with, and that's been my mantle, if you will, of the fabric of my being myself, is to serve. And the investment industry just wasn't doing it again for me because we had a number of things. That's why I write about the challenges of the midlife doldrums, because there's been a lot of storms throughout the
Mm.
period, and we're in one right now. And in 2008, that was a big storm, and all of a sudden things tanked again. And I said, I'm tired of being on a boat that I can't handle, right? I'm a control guy. I like to have my hands on the controls. So, in that respect, just prior to 2008, it was a booming period in 2007. So I thought private equity would be the place to be because I could get on a ship and that ship would float and rise, and we'd have an aircraft carrier pretty soon. And lo and behold, a year later, we were on a dinghy. Okay, so it wasn't that pretty. So I was out of business at that point. And that was then a very big turning point, Tom, as you asked me what helped me become who I am today. And it ended up in a divorce, which I write about in Midlife Doldrums. And in 2009, that was my moment in time where my dark night was, where I found myself going, okay, now I'm separated, working towards a divorce after being married 27 years with one daughter. And there was a point where I said, I need to restart again in 2009 in my midlife. And Tom, you started over in your midlife.
Mhm.
It can be daunting. So I ended up, oh, lo and behold, financial services, but this time in a payments side where if you understand payments, anytime you pull out your credit card and pay for something, somebody's getting paid for that transaction to be
Mhm.
completed. Well, that's how I created my life, and an income that continues to pay me today, even while I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm making money, so it's kind of a nice cushion to have.
Well, we all like a bit of sleeping income. So, when did you adopt the moniker then, which is a phonological ambiguity? I.e., it's got two meanings, at least two meanings, of wake up rich. So there's the waking up rich from your sleeping income, and also your work waking other people up, including yourself.
That's right. At first, I was trying to figure out, and that moniker, I'll talk about how that came about, and that did come about after actually 15 years ago. But when I was trying to come up with the theme for my moniker, or if you will, my persona, my image on my web domain, I thought, because I am an early riser, you might have picked that up in some of my early career
Yeah,
choices. And Tom, you and I have communicated at 4:44 in the morning because I'm
that's the
up at
time.
that time. Anyway, it kind of started back in 2010 after I said I got divorced, and I started to realize I needed to do some more reflection. I called it tranquil sitting. For the past 15 years, I've sat outside every morning, usually somewhere around 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 in the morning. And I called it then tranquil sitting because I really hadn't found meditation or understood much about it. I knew about, the principles of being, mindful and quiet because I've read a lot of books about that. But I felt I needed to reconnect to, in this case, nature for me. Being outside gives me a peace and a calmness. And I don't know if you recall, I mentioned to you I was traveling to support my mother in her transition to a care home
Mm-hmm.
last month, and it was like minus 35 degrees centigrade and then minus 40 with the wind chill where I was in middle Canada. And oh my gosh, I wore a few layers to stay outside for just
You
half
did.
an hour. Okay, half an hour. So now you can see where the wake up part comes from. But in my day and the way I've always operated in life and the stories that you read about successful people in their lives, whether it's Oprah Winfrey saying that, she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to start her process of doing her things, her meditation or writing or whatever it is that she has, running a major enterprise and her own life personally. Other leaders, military, corporate, whether you're the head of Apple or if you're like the head of an enterprise like an aircraft carrier, these people are up early to do the things that they need to prepare themselves to be great leaders. So I don't profess to be a great leader, but I buy into the principles of getting an early start to your day, like the early bird gets the worm, right, Tom?
Nice.
You know, like I want my share of worms, right? So, I
Uh-huh.
mean, the way I see it is when the birds are up early chirping, they're actually kind of joyful and happy. The sun's rising, and I'm right there with them. So I feel really connected to nature. So Wake Up Rich 428 comes along with the fact that if you want to lead a rich life, and I did toy with Wake Up with Rich, but I thought that might not work with some people, right? So I thought Wake Up Rich, and that's me waking up. That's you waking up feeling rich, and the things that you need to do. So if you've known me and you have known me for some little short period of time, you probably imagine I have a fairly significant ritual around that. And that is really a part of if you really want to make some significant change in your life and that's your life and the life of others, put some ritual and process around the things that you want to have happen. And that means maybe even for me when I first started, I had to put an appointment in my calendar to sit outside at 5 in the morning
Mhm.
because how easy is it not to get out of bed? But if you're duty filled or you have the will or you have the desire, if you see that appointment and you put it in your calendar either that night before or you put it like I do, repeating every day, it's still in there, Tom. 15 years later, it's still in my calendar today to wake up. Now, I shifted it a little earlier because my concept is 428. And I don't know if it's my age that as you get older, I get up earlier, or if it's just that have more desire to make change in my life. And I think it's the second, more desire to make change.
Mhm.
So I wake up before 4. But I'll if you want to join my program, Tom, I'll let you wake up at 4. You don't have to get up before 4. And
Absolutely. All right.
it's not a fixed time, right? But the concept is between 4 and 8 in the morning. That is your time. Now, if you work outside the home and you have to get on a commute and all that, well, then you have to compress that or slide it earlier or just whatever it is. The Dalai Lama gets up at 3 in the morning at 80 some years old to do 3 to 4 hours of meditation.
Uh-huh. Wow. I remember it's Julia Cameron, Morning Pages and Creative Dates, and I read that in my early days as an author. I think I'd written my third book by the time of 2009, and that got me. And you've noticed this in my channeling for authors course, is to make creative dates. So I'd make appointments for my chapters in my diary, and that had two effects. One was that I wouldn't go and overbook a client in that time,
Right.
and the other thing that happened is the content for that chapter would arrive just in time, mostly in that hypnopompic time as we're going from sleep to being awake, which is kind of interesting, isn't it?
Well, let me just build on that hypnopompic time because I have taken your course. I've followed some of your meditations, and that's
Uh-huh.
how we got together through Insight Timer, which I'm really grateful. But that hypnopompic time, and so important to have that little notepad and pen by your bed because, as you suggest in your channeling, as I've used myself personally, is to plant that seed of what you want to create the night before, that
Mhm.
appointment to yourself, and then you set that appointment in your head before you sleep. And then, unfortunately for me, sometimes it's at 2 when I'm getting those channels coming down in the morning, right? But in most cases, it's like you suggest, that it's just in that stirring point when you're just kind of, am I waking up? Am I going to get up? And then all of a sudden, wow, bam. And then that little idea comes and jump up, write it down. And I make my bed after I finish that, Tom, because that's just that military background. My bed is made the second I stand up out of the
Wow.
bed. Okay.
Interesting. I don't know, and also, all my books and all my courses, because I write them all in trance, I
Mhm.
can't consciously remember them. I've got good memory in many regards, so I can't remember if I gave the tip if you do wake up a little bit earlier than you really want to, you can send that idea to your future self a couple of hours later, and you will remember it. So
Okay.
yeah, so that does
I
work.
might have to try that because if I don't write it down, I feel I can't release myself from holding that thought. So
Yeah.
that could be very helpful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you just thank it for coming along and say, by the way, I just would like 2 more hours sleep, and can you remind me at that 4:28 or 4:44 time, and it'll come back to you. So, well, let's talk about 4044 because uh, in this show, I like to not only just talk about your life trajectory, where you've been from, where you're going, but also to demonstrate your art. And just before we did the show, you recorded a beautiful piece, which just happens to be 4 minutes 44 seconds long, called "I Am Awake." Can we just listen to that now, and then we'll come back and talk about the other aspect of Wake Up Rich, or Waking Up with Rich.
All right. Well, let's stick with wake up, Rich.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we go. So this is "I'm Awake." It's got my ambient in the background, guiding lights with
I
uh,
appreciate you offering that for me
not
to
at all.
nice ambient
It's
track.
and just by the way, anyone that's out there making meditations, I've got a whole stack of music. It's there for free, and it's a sort of my paying it back and paying it forward thing at the same time. So here we are, "I'm Awake" by Richard.
If you feel drawn to this prayer and meditation, trust that it is no coincidence. It is the call of your heart and soul guiding you to this exact moment. Perhaps you long to rise above the weight of daily life or its anxieties, seek a deeper understanding of your purpose, or sense an awakening that is uniquely yours to explore. If so, take a deep breath and settle into this stillness with an open heart. You are embarking on a journey of profound transformation. Here, in this sacred space, you will discover your I am. Sit comfortably with your spine straight, shoulders relaxed, and hands resting gently in your lap or by your side. Just breathe naturally, letting your breath's gentle rhythm hold you. Here's the prayer. I stand unwavering in my vision, my desire is sharp and focused, and my attention steadfast. Nothing can hinder my path, for I'm divinely guided and fully aligned with the limitless potential within me. I walk in faith, knowing that all I seek is already mine. I co-create my reality through the awareness of the divine, moving in harmony with the infinite intelligence that shapes my world. With each moment, I open my heart and mind to the sacred flow of abundance, allowing divine wisdom to illuminate my path. I'm wealthy beyond measure, spiritually, emotionally, and materially. I joyfully receive all the abundance life has prepared for me, knowing that wealth is my birthright. As I give freely, I so do receive in overflowing measure. Absolute health is the cornerstone of my well-being and the divine foundation of my physical body. Every cell within me vibrates with life, vitality, and perfect balance. I honor my body as a sacred vessel, allowing divine energy to flow effortlessly through me, renewing and strengthening me in every way. Kindness is my mantle, the sacred foundation upon which all my actions rest. It flows effortlessly from the depths of my being. With each breath, I radiate self-love, compassion, and gentleness, creating a ripple of warmth and understanding that extends far beyond me. I choose to see the good in others and to walk this path with grace, knowing that kindness is both my gift and my strength. I express myself from my highest, truest self, the I Am presence of my spirit body. Each day, I grow stronger in my ability to love myself fully and live authentically. My heart is open, my spirit is free, and I embrace my journey with courage and grace. Take a deep breath in and exhale, grounding this truth within you. Take another deep breath in and exhale, bringing this awareness into your day. When you're ready, if your eyes were closed, gently open them, returning to the present with a new renewed sense of clarity, abundance, and divine connection. Namaste.
So let's just unpack where that came from. How did you write it? What was your inspiration? And what's your dream that you hold for people that listen to it?
Well, thank you, Tom, for supporting me in that track that I'll be uploading into Insight Timer shortly. And but it has been a journey, and I have to say that Insight Timer has been a part of that journey, causing my awakening. And the simple thing about even me, and I told you this in my review on your course about what was the one called about the numbers where you had the dominoes as the image.
That's the magic of numbers. Yeah, yeah.
That's right. You know what? Something about that, I put it in my saved courses file and it sat there for weeks, I'm sure. And then it was, and I told you in my review, something moved me to open that and to listen to it because I had been seeing signs. And my mother is a person that
Mhm.
I really will remember, and she still is alive, as I said earlier. But those are the numbers like 444, 1111 that she saw. And she always said that when she saw those kinds of numbers, that she felt that she was closer to and connected to her then deceased husband of now over 10
Mhm.
years. So, that resonated. And then I thought, I need to learn more about numbers. And then lo and behold, I'm scrolling through my saved courses, and then the domino picture comes up, and Tom Evans's course is there. So I listened to the first track, and I look at the time when I was finished, it was 4:44 in the morning. And that's where I think that's when you went, I got a live one here.
Oh, and
So
I got another track on the course called Soul Path. There's a track called a lesson on serendipity in the soul, and it mentions in the track that I actually wrote that. I woke up at 4:44 and then got the script for it and then recorded it a bit later on. And two ladies both got in touch saying, just before I listened to that, I also woke up at 4:44. So should we just unpack that a little bit because this is really important.
It
It's
is.
four. It's more. What's it? It's the four, four, and four. So it's the sum of the three together to 12,
Well,
and that's what's been driving me. That whole course came from 12 short stories that I wrote called Soul Waves Insertions. And I did 12 meditations inspired by each number and 12 musical tracks. And of course, there's 12 semitones in every octave. So each of the music tracks behind it is absolutely riddled with numerical references as well. So it works on an unconscious level. But what happens when you tune into these things? Amazing serendipity happens. And those dominoes you're talking about, right? I
they
just
start
found
to
that.
fall.
Yeah, I found that on Unsplash, right? That image. I thought, oh, yeah, dominoes with 12. I thought it was some sort of computer generated image. About 6 months after I created the course, these friends of ours said, "Oh, we had a motorhome at the time, an RV, and they had a motorhome. We said, let's go and raft up. We'll travel out together." And I want to introduce you to this game called Mexican Train Dominoes. The Mexican Train Dominoes
I
are.
love
I
that. I
know, I
love
know,
it.
and
That's a
and there
great
were the
game.
dominoes that were just there. So
Yeah.
it's like the universe coming to just remind you all the time
What
that
color of train do you pick all the time?
oh, I think I'd just go with. I like a blue train, so
Me
why not?
too. I'm a blue
Oh,
guy.
there
I
you
kind of
go.
did the blue. I don't jive for it. I hope that it's left there for me to pick. So
Ah,
thank you, Tom.
we'll have to have a game face to face one of these days.
Definitely.
So listen, tell us. So you're now not just the meditator on Insight Time. You're contributing content to it, which is amazing, and also you're a very active member of our wonderful group on Facebook, Teachers with Insight. So if anyone's listening to this who wants to be an Insight Timer teacher, that we've got this support group for people to help get out of the noise floor and help with all the production techniques as well. And you're a testament to that. You just sort of picked up and run with it now. Um, but you're not stopping there. You're writing, you're creating this movement. Just tell us about this amazing. I don't know. It's almost like you've got this force of nature you're generating here.
Well, thanks, Tom. Uh, I think, well, I have to first say, and I mentioned it on a post that I made this morning that to support you in something that was going on in your life. And I had posted this track, Driftwood and Dreams. But I think it's really uh, whether it was the teachers with insight, but primarily you. I think this is our. Remember, you said the numbers 12, like
Hmm.
4 plus 4 is 12, but 1 plus 2 equals 3. This is probably our third most significant face to face type of conversation we had. We had one when I first was kind of
Hmm.
just wondering about Insight Timer, and you gave me a lot of insight and support and said
Hmm.
join the group. Then we had one which we'll have another 1 year later in December
Hmm.
on your anniversary date, just prior to your anniversary, your wedding, where you said, let's look at where you're going to be in 12 months, Richard. Well,
Hmm.
how far is December to now? I don't know. It's 4 months or
Eight
something like
eight
that.
months away. Yeah, yeah.
No, but till now, four
Oh, yeah,
months.
yeah,
And now
yeah,
we're having another significant conversation
yeah.
4 months from now. So
Right.
I don't know what that means. You're the numbers guy. I just kind of feel like it's moving me, and it's and this drift, if you will, the the flow. And I use nautical terms. I'm not a sailor. I was in the army, but I like the nautical terms of the doldrums, if you will, because um, I found my flow, and the flow came from looking for a way to have my voice heard. And I thought it would be audio, would be my way through Insight Timer. But after taking your Aditum course, I found a way to actually express it also verbally. And I
Hmm.
seem to have more fun because I don't have to do audio edits on verbal writing, right?
Hmm.
It's not technical challenging to me, right? So
Hmm.
I'm finding my voice through this platform called Substack, where I started simply because I used a couple words when I was taking the course. You said, well, you could write a post about just that word. So I started Substack Sunday, share the word.
Hmm.
And it became me looking, which I did till now because it was something I felt important every day, every morning. I opened up my dictionary and picked a word just by jabbing in onto the page.
Mhm.
And it became my word of the day that I wrote about. And I even shared some with you at the beginning stages.
Mhm.
Then that transitioned, and again in a flow where I mentioned the doldrums, and you said, "Wow, I'd write a whole book about that. Why don't you, Richard?" So I went, "Why not?" And then I used a technique which I've used before in my planning cycles and helping clients to do a mind map. And that was the biggest thing for me because I'd never used a mind map to write something.
Uh-huh.
I used it for planning an objective in the military. It's a good way to show and share people what to expect in this process. And in change management, which I was with a
Mhm.
telephone company, we talked about the flow, and I used flow charts actually. And back in the
Mhm.
day, I hand drew flow charts. But your mind map helped me create the track, if you will, the idea from what do I want the doldrums of midlife to look like, and I had 12 pieces, 12
Mhm.
little brain stems coming out of my mind map, and now I think I'm on number 11, and that was the one I shared with you. Yeah, number 11. I just looked on my screen, and it was easier for me once I started doing those little breakdowns on each of the veins. What things did I want to portray and talk about in that mind map? I was totally amazed how easily the word, well, not so much the words, but the themes came out. Then I could wrap words around the themes to then create the subject matter that then I posted. And then what I start to look at, because I like to serve and I like to come up with solutions. That's where charting your course to new horizons came on the back end of that, where each segment has 8 to 10 things that you can do to help chart your course to new horizons if you're finding yourself in the doldrums.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
that
been,
comes it comes from two things. One is that the reason that you're all the right things are arriving at the right time for you is that you've already tangled with the perfect version of you in the future, and you don't have to worry about the actual path to getting there. Or if you end up in the doldrums for a bit, there's a good reason for that. And I'm in a bit of a doldrums at the moment because we've had a friend that passed away suddenly last week, and you've probably heard a barking dog, a bit of a barking dog. We've got a blind dog with us,
yeah.
and so I've stopped. I'm recording this episode, and I've got an episode next week with somebody. But then I'm going to have about a month off from doing what I plan to do. But I'm not concerned about that because in that time the ideas will be coming in and all that sort of stuff. But what you're referring to is something which I'm really chuffed at because you really jumped on this. Is that the difference between passive channeling, where you just get the content down, and active channeling, where you still get the content down, but you channel it into a framework, which is really
Mhm.
important. And that's the beauty of the mind map. And also that idea that you can not only map the content of the book, but you can also map the reader journey, which is really important. Where do you want to take the reader who becomes then the listener when you do the audiobook version?
Yeah, and that's been really important because we never really talked about I am awake yet. Yeah, so my awakening was again as I was writing the adult through the doldrums of midlife. I um, I was drawn to a particular book, and the book is called "The Game of Life and How to Play It."
Mm-hmm.
And I, I to this day, and I wished I could really attest to, was there a person that suggested I read it, or did I just manifest this idea? And I don't know all the spiritual aspects of how ideas come in. Tom, you're way better at that. Like somehow I thought I should order this book. Okay, so I ordered The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. It came. Amazon's really good at getting stuff to you fast. But I set it aside because I was reading something else or whatever, right? Again, then it kind of, I don't know if it slipped out of my bookshelf, but it said, read me. Okay. So I read it, right? And I think I shared that I read this book with you, Tom. And I found, which was quite interesting, that the book was written 100 years ago, basically
Yeah, I got a copy on the back of you suggesting it. Yeah, I had a
yeah,
read myself. Yeah,
1925.
yeah,
So it's the precursor to all these other scions, if you will, of how to manifest the things you want in your life. because Louise Hay followed some of Florence's work in terms of how to use affirmations
Mhm.
and having a positive mindset to build the life you want. And as the book suggests, how to win in the game of life. And then it led into, like, even Wayne Dyer's referenced her in his work. So and these are people I followed back in the day when they first were, and still in some cases do, because some of their material's still coming out. Uh, so I thought there's something to this. And then I didn't just look, oh, this was written in 1925. I had no clue when it was written. But then
Mhm.
when I looked at the copyright information, which is now passed because it's over 100 years, it was uncanny. I thought, is there anybody talking about this? I couldn't find anybody talking about it, right? There has been people, even Louise Hay wrote an edition of the Game of Life, how to play it for women.
Mhm.
Okay, so this then started me thinking about how can I acknowledge this, and I thought, why not create a point in time? And Florence was born in September, on September 24th in 18 something. I'm sorry, I can't remember the late
Mhm.
1800s. And I thought, September 24th, why not create a day to celebrate an awakening that was started in 1925 and it's carried on through the ages to now. And I created a concept, well, two pieces. You've seen, I've created a symbol. That's kind of my way of my awakening and how I read the concept of how to become awake. So I
Uh-huh.
created a symbol, and I had the support of one of our fellow Insight Timer teachers to do the design work, because I just scratched it out with pencil, and
Uh-huh.
I got this fancy thing back from Wisdom Arts in actually Brisbane, Australia. If you can imagine, I had support now from you in the UK, and now from in Brisbane, Australia. So there's an awakening happening. So I created a concept called I Am Day. So iamday.org. It's about how you can participate in your own awakening that can help a global awakening. And if you want to understand what that actually is, it is I Am, but I Am stands for something. It's the International Awakening Movement.
Wow.
So you can find that on iamday.org, and you can learn how you can join up and get involved. And it's still in its infancy stages. But, I said, Tom, I'm going to invest in this myself. I'm just going to put my own money into this. And I mentioned Brisbane because I think I mentioned to you that I usually go to Australia once a year, usually in February and March, for a month, and hang out with my sisters that I have there, two sisters. But this year, because of my mom's situation, I couldn't go. I had to cancel my trip. I had to help put things in place to get her to get moving in towards
Mhm.
a new care home facility. And I'm going, okay. So an Insight Timer teacher, again, these are the serendipities.
Mhm.
Uh, Celebrated International Women's Day and put the 10 people that most influenced and supported her in becoming. And one of them was a website designer.
Mhm.
So I asked Karen Perot, she's an Insight Timer teacher, who is this person? Oh, Rich, if you want a website, Sheila will get you on the map. So Richard contacts Sheila, has a conversation. She says, well, Rich, I like your plan, your idea. I said, how much is this going to cost, Sheila? And she says, well, my fee, as you saw on my website, is about $1,000. And I go, oh, $1,000. Okay, $1,000. So I go, okay. I said, well, map out your plan. Give me your plan. She said she would. And then I said, put your price tag on that. And she did. So I had thought while she was working on that plan, where can I come up with $1,000? Well, guess what? I had 1,000 Australian dollars in an envelope that I didn't use.
Ah, there you go.
Right? Because I didn't go to Australia. And guess where that money would have gone, Tom? Dinner, blowing it on attractions, gas, whatever, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It would have been gone, but it was in an envelope. But you have to understand, they were Australian dollars, and our things had started to kind of tumble in our economy through some things that had happened globally. So I didn't know if they would be worth much as a thousand. But guess what happened when I saw her number for her work, it was $850.
Hmm.
Guess how much my conversion was on my 1,000 to Canadian dollars to pay her?
I'm guessing the difference.
$856.
There you go.
I
Yeah,
had $6 to spare to pay her to do the work that she's doing. Still today, she's working
fantastic.
on it. I had $6 to spare. I bought myself a coffee and paid her.
So
So,
what? So what's going to happen on IM Day? Tell us about IM Day.
well, I Am Day is an awakening. So I can even envision us doing a program on September, or at least aired for September
Hmm.
24th, where we are talking about how people have been engaging in, for example, how do they get involved in our website, imday.org,
Hmm.
and the things that are going on around the planet to support it. It's not like there isn't anything happening now. We just want to celebrate it. So, if you are on the fringe and wanting to find an awakening in this turbulent time, we will on the website give you resources to either help do things and plan for yourself individually, your family, for your community or your group. Like Insight Timer teachers have a following of X number of subscribers. Each one of them could help their this momentum for them and their subscribers to participate. It's not hard. It's
Hmm.
just be remember. It's about remembering about who you are and what you want to be. So that's where the I am comes in. Some people may want to do 100 days of affirmations. Some people may want to take I a good one would be Charles Fairley's course on 83 days to um, an awakening in the Tao, right? He's got a program you could sign up for. So, Tom, you have programs and courses that people can sign up
Hmm.
on. So that's how you could get involved. For example, you could put it out that, let's focus on this. And then when we get to September 24th, we can put our hands up in the air and celebrate and say, we are the awakening. We are the bridge to the future. That's the key here, Tom. We are the bridge. And I Am Day isn't just one day a year. It's going to be continuing. So whether it becomes like let's say a program called I Am Awake, or
Hmm.
a magazine that's I Am Awake, and it's a monthly thing. I see, and again, I'm referencing on numbers here, Tom. 100 years to get to this point through all those people that helped Florence get the message out through. And there's people today like us and others in the world that are helping individuals and groups and churches to grow in this awakening. But I see the next 100 months after September 24th, another 100, which is 3 years and change. That's to keep that energy and the perpetual motion moving, to remember to stay awake. So in that, do you want to hear about my book that I'm writing?
Absolutely, yeah, and obviously I've been I'll be putting Florence's name at the bottom so people can find out about her as well. So it'd be great for you to, and obviously by referencing her, you're actually getting her spirit to help you in your plans, which is amazing.
It is. It really is, Tom. And I mapped out what I thought the book would look like, again using the mind map,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of got the framework done. And the book is going to be called about the hidden chapter.
Mm-hmm.
The hidden chapter.
Nice.
Okay, it's the one that no one can see unless you remember, right? And then it weaves in what I like, and I learned this from you in your style, and I've seen it in movies where you you're at present day, and then all of a sudden you're at the past again, and then Florence is influencing this person's great grandmother, and the great grandmother been in turbulent times. Her fiance died in World War I,
Mm-hmm.
and then she got herself. She lost her parents by the Spanish flu, and she herself had Spanish flu and nearly died. And now she was like destitute. How's she going to survive? And this is the current day person. That's her great grandmother now. That's been writing in a journal all the things that happened to her to help her get to where she is. And now this new present day individual in my book is starting to see and remember, because she's now struggling with things in her life. And it kind of has this nice back and forth balance. And then there's a gatekeeper, Tom. you were a big influence in the gatekeeper. I won't go into a lot of it, but there's a key and a metal gate, okay? And that gatekeeper has been around for a millennium,
Wow.
okay? So that's the theme. And I'm hoping that as you said, excuse me, as you said, you would celebrate with me when my first book is printed. I hope that's sometime plus or minus September, so that we can get that story out there to
Well,
support the.
absolutely. We should make a date for you to come back on this show, but also I'm going to say this live on air. I should introduce you to Will and Karen of New Reality TV, and you should have the I Am channel, yeah, I Am show on there as well. And
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
yeah, I think that's a really good way of doing all of this stuff. And to me, I love the way that all the media are mixing. You know, we're talking about books, we're talking about channeling, we're talking about audio and this sort of stuff. But new reality is a great way of synthesizing all of these things together and getting to an amazing audience in a way that we've not been able to do before. By the way, also talking to new reality about doing a 24/7 radio show and also launching audiobooks on there as well. So
Oh,
it's a
wow.
place that we're not just going to be able to have these conversations, but also where we can put our content up. And so the show leads to the content as well. And that's all brand new information. It's not really happened yet, but it will certainly be up and running by September this year,
Oh, that
which is
sounds
great.
wonderful.
Because and this what for me has happened nowadays as well is our publishing routes find us. You know, we set the intention to publish, to write something and publish it, and by the time it's published, and September the 24th would be a great target date, the perfect way to get it out there, which didn't even exist when you started writing,
No,
happens.
no.
Now, talking about time, because we're coming up to the time when uh, we've got probably about 12 minutes left. And this is right off the bat today. The ink's hardly dry on your Substack. You shared with me, was it Driftwood and Dreams, the most amazing piece.
Thank you.
And I want to share it now with our audience because it shows your quality as a writer. It's got a depth, it's got a tenderness to it. Do you want to just talk about it, and then we'll play it in, and also before we do that, just remind people of the best website to find you on.
To find my writing right now, it's on Substack, and it's Richard Walter on Substack, so you
Okay.
can find that. And it is under the, if you put in an entry through the doldrums of midlife,
Hmm.
that will take you to
Fantastic.
my, and I can give you the URL if you want to post it later as well. But the story itself, as I said, it's a 12-part series, and this is number 11, and it's not going to end at 12, Tom. As you can imagine, there'll be threads going from this forever.
Book two and
But
three, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so the Driftwood and Dreams, and one thing I want you to, and you may not have noticed, that I drop this at 3:33 every Wednesday morning.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah, I felt that was the time, because you guys might be reading it at lunchtime in the UK, and on the east coast of Canada, it's just first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
And then people will drift into it on the west coast at their 6 o'clock after it's been up for 3 hours. And so I started to want to make sure the message would, if you will, reach the audience at the right time if they're ready to read it.
Hmm.
And you were ready to read this because of a situation. And the Driftwood and Dreams, it's like it's understanding the navigating the tides of midlife. And we have so much loss in midlife. Like you've lost a neighbor, you've lost friends, I've lost friends. And in fact, one of and it's not just current. We've had loss and grief throughout our lives, whether it's relationships, whether it's family members, strained relationships with them, whether it's grandparents passing, you name it. In fact, even this was one of the poems, I very first poems I wrote, is at the end of this piece, and it's about a girl that was in school, a friend of mine that sat in front of me that died
Wow.
from leukemia. And it was just after one of your channeling meditations that you just said, write down and start writing whatever starts coming into your head. And this poem came into my head. And that was kind of the launch of my journey into writing. I didn't know it at the time because I was writing 2 stanza simple poems, right? It was like unbelievable. I was just like a poem a day was coming down. So this is now something about how to handle grief and loss in your life and strategies to overcome some of those pains, which are actually growth opportunities for you, Tom, to really reflect on this. And one thing I want to leave on this before we move in, my mother always suggested this. I told you about her talking about my stepfather and her husband when he passed, and when she sees the numbers. But she also left this with me, is that we all leave a spirit print on one another. So your neighbor, whether, or in my case, that friend in school, or my close friend that passed away a few years ago, they all leave a spirit print on you. So you always have them with you in your heart. So you never have to fear that they're gone, because you've left a spirit print in their heart and they in yours. So that's a nice way to kind of move into this piece here, Tom.
Thank you so much. Well, how poignant. I'm not going to say anything more apart from to say thank you for coming on to the show and for sharing so openly and widely. So let's enjoy a sample of your amazing writing.
Thank you. Driftwood and Dreams. Navigating the tides of midlife loss. There comes a point in life, not always marked by a birthday or a calendar page, when the water's quiet and we begin to notice the drift, a subtle shift in the current. The boat rocks differently. We feel the loss before we can name it. Midlife is not a storm, though it can feel like one. More often, it's a slow, quiet turning, a realization that certain shores have grown distant. Some we choose to leave, others we drifted from, without ever lifting the anchor. We speak of grief when someone dies, but grief wears many disguises. It slips in through the back door, stares at us from the mirror, curls up beside us in bed. In midlife, loss deepens and widens. It stops being a moment and becomes part of the landscape. The many faces of loss. We lose loved ones, yes, suddenly or through long, drawn-out farewells. But there are other, quieter losses we often don't name. We lose our youth, not all at once, but in gradual, nearly invisible ways. How our bodies respond, how we're unseen or seen, the quiet closing of certain possibilities. We grieve the ease of the skin we once wore. We lose relationships not only to death or divorce, but to distance, to growth, to the slow erosion of time. Friends we thought were forever become shadows on the timeline. We grieve what used to be. We lose identity. The titles we wore like badges, mother, partner, achiever, caregiver, rising star, fade or fall away. Suddenly, we're unsure who we are without them. We lose dreams, not just the grand ones, but the quiet hopes, the child we didn't have, the book we didn't write, the love that didn't last. We grieve the unlived life. We lose our health, our own or that of someone close. We grieve the illusion of invincibility, the freedom of movement, of energy, of ease. We lose homes, communities, belief systems. We lose time, and running through it all is the aching truth. We are always letting go of something. But the letting go, when done with intention, becomes its own kind of sacred navigation. A sea of emotion. Grief is not linear, it's tidal. It washes in when we least expect it. A song, a scent, a season. One moment we're standing strong, the next we're on our knees in the sand, searching for what's been carried away. And yet, not everything the tide takes is meant to return. Sometimes grief clears the shoreline for something new to arrive, a reshaping of the coast. There is beauty in that erosion too. The sorrow of midlife often comes with strange, quiet clarity. Like driftwood, we've been shaped by the elements, smoothed by experience. We're no longer trying to prove we can weather any storm. We know storms come, and we know we survive. Grief, when given space, becomes a compass. It shows us what mattered, what still does. Dreams as buoys. Khalil Gibran once wrote, quote, "Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate up to eternity." Unquote. In the midst of grief, dreaming can feel impossible, hope distant, but midlife offers an unexpected gift. The dreams that remain, whether long held or newly born, are quieter now, but often more true. They arise not from pressure or comparison, but from the soul. These dreams become buoys, markers in the fog, signs that there's still something ahead worth sailing toward. We no longer dream of conquest, but of connection, not of riches, but of resonance. We may dream of becoming, fully and finally, ourselves. Charting your course to new horizons. If you find yourself adrift in grief for someone, for something, or for a version of yourself, you are not alone. Many others are on the open sea with you, even if their vessels are out of view. This is not the end. It may be the turning point, a recalibration, a moment to drop anchor and listen, or to raise your sail and catch an unexpected wind. Loss does not mean your journey is over. It means the map has changed. There are still islands of joy ahead, still sunrises worth waking for, still songs to sing, hands to hold, laughter to surprise you. Let grief be your teacher, not your jailer. Let it soften you. Let it show you what was beautiful and what you lost, and what beauty still lives within you. Midlife is not a decline, it is a crossing. And on the other side is not despair, but depth. Not an ending, but an invitation. So if you find yourself staring at the horizon, unsure of what's next, know this: you're not broken, you're becoming. And even in the drift, the tide is carrying you somewhere sacred. This is the moment to trust the dreams. This is the moment to chart your course to new horizons.